get to make that happen?
We were a competitive team this year, so I don't know that there's like we need to go get. I'm also not sure that we're at a stage for our team that we're thinking we need to go get. I do think it's very important that all of our players, not just our young players, but that all of our players get better individually. Like that's probably our primary focus. It's not to say that I'm not going to be aggressive this offseason looking at things that potentially make our roster better. I absolutely do that. It's probably the most core part of my job. But we're definitely not feeling the pressure of we need X. I think we feel good that we have a well-rounded roster with lots of talented players, and it's a lot of it is on our current players to add to their skill set to get a little bit better.
To the mix, and Steven Adams to the mix, and another year, off season under our belt to kind of hit the ground running. I think look at all those things, and should be quite a bit of improvement just with that.
Players to adjust to that, especially the ones that were before you got here were considered the rising stars, and at some point you had to bench some of them. How did they take that, and when did they adjust to that?
I mean, I think it was pretty immediate. We spent a good amount of time in the off season together, and so that was never a secret. I understood that coming in, but it wasn't like I was just coaching them for the first time once we started in preseason. They understand who I am, and we've had a ton of conversations leading into the season. So, that's the coaching piece. As far as the benchings or whatever it is, I think guys understand what they do on the court is going to be rewarded, and so I said at the start of the year, like roles and minutes and those things are not handed out anymore, and guys will compete for those. And when you do the right things, you'll be on the court, and so it wasn't always the case of what some guys didn't do as much as what the others did. And whether it was Aaron hitting 5 threes in the quarter, well, I'm gonna probably roll with him in the fourth quarter, or Jeff playing extremely well against Zion and his ex-team Denver, it might play more with Jabari. But for the most part, we understand our young guys and our future guys are really going to hold it down most nights, and they'll be rewarded by that. So the expectation coming in was those things will be earned and nothing's determined.
From a micro level, like what do you want to see your guys do that doesn't allow just those 5 games to get away? Like on a micro level, what needs to happen with some of these kids that they don't allow that? And I know consistency you mentioned before too.
Yeah, growth in all those areas where you're going through it for the first time. With us, I think we got better throughout the season and just limiting mistakes and improving in all those areas. We got off to a good start, and you saw a big jump from guys. And like I said, we kind of plateaued in the middle of the season and finished off stronger. But just the fact that we have a year under our belt, those experiences that they don't have to go through for the first time, understanding what we're requiring of them will be a lot different. So, we talked about it, although Fred and Dylan and some veterans came in, we still want to see our young guys take the step, and that internal growth would probably push us the furthest. And you've seen that throughout the season. You saw Alfie taking a big jump early in the season, Jabari as well, and then Jalen kind of caught on later. But just from those consistency standpoints, if those guys take those jumps, and we're in a different position than we were. So I think this experience, more so than anything, will benefit us and we get to hit the ground running next year.
Hey, Mrs. Stone, you talked about, you feel like this team is more well-rounded, but where do you believe, or what are some of the attributes you would like to add on to this team for this upcoming offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I like my team, so I think potentially we're just bringing back everybody that we have, and it doesn't mean we won't look at things, but I don't think we're sitting here today feeling like, oh, we need to go get X at all. I mean, as Ime pointed out, we're very much looking forward to getting Tari back with us. He's an enormous part of what we do. We're ecstatic that we have Steven Adams, and we think he's going to add, a real element to us. So just kind of the guys we have in the locker room today are guys we're excited to bring back. And so, yeah, so we'll look at things, but I think it's, again, it's not, I don't view our roster as we're missing X, we need to go find it. I think, you know, the job is to try and identify really talented basketball players, and if we find somebody who we think on their own merits is very special and it makes sense, we'd look strongly at that, but it's not, from my perspective, like we have a gaping hole.
The summer, so to speak.
Do it earlier. And we're playing right now, and so no, it's but yeah, like I said, everybody learns and adapts to things on their own speed, and he was a guy that we probably pushed harder than most to improve all around and not just be labeled on one end of the court as a scorer only. You have that athleticism and that competitiveness. You know, you do it on the defensive end, you get to anywhere you want on the court, make the right reads, and not take the contested shots. And so some things that he's done his whole life were being challenged. And so for him, it was just, this is who you are. And although your ups and downs, the thing about his love is, like I said, is with the resiliency. He played 82 games, played through injury, fatigue, frustration, and never complained about it, never wavered from his work that he put in, and was rewarded with that toward the end of the season. And so, yeah, that's the biggest thing. And like I said, it takes time for everybody, and you see the talent, you see the potential, and to see him fight through that and achieve that late in the season, we're all really proud of him.
What is it? Is there anything about the team that surprised you or that you learned along the way?
I would say the growth of overall IQ of the team. That's an area that improved throughout the season and got a lot better toward the end. As I mentioned, limiting the same mistakes from happening over and over, and I think our IQ as a group grew. You got, Fred, Dylan, Jeff, some veterans like that, and a bunch of young guys that are, like I said, being asked to do certain things for the first time. And so the IQ was improved. There was a huge improvement throughout the season. The one thing that not so much surprised me, but was a pleasant surprise, was our competitiveness and effort from day one. And so we were competitive first day we got on the court with each other, to preseason to early season games, and you saw that fight and a little bit of toughness come out as the season went on. So that was a good surprise. Like I said, I'd rather have guys that you have to pull back some than really get them kick-started. And so our group kind of embraced that. It was a welcome surprise.
I'm proud of Alperin for, he actually had a rough camp, and like you could see like a switch turn from him really early, and so we asked hard things of him too, or he may ask them pretty bluntly, which and that's great, and I thought he had a really good year, and the thing I actually talked to Jay, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. We talked for quite a while. Yeah, and on-court success is what it is. Like, no one's ever trying to miss shots, right? And so, like, the ball goes in, it doesn't. It's that ends up being really important. So I don't want to say I don't care about that, but in terms of dealing with people as people, the one thing I did tell Jay, I was very proud of how tough he was this year, on and off the court, just mentally. And to me, that's what's required to be successful. So just to double down on that comment. Yeah, anyway, that's what I think. And I think we have a pretty good chance of that. So I am excited.
And for me, and it's a new challenge with the youngest team that I've coached, for sure. I've mentioned the parallels between here and Boston. We're not as far off as you would think, and so I had that to kind of lean back on. But I learned that I can find joy in some struggle, and keep a good attitude at times. And that's the staff and the players and guys you enjoy being around. So as much as we talked about at the start of the season with all the players, ending at 500 might be an accomplishment in people's eyes. It's not going to feel good at the time. Ups and downs, and pretty much a winning one, losing one. Although we did it in a lot of different streaks both ways. And so, for me, it was really how to adjust to a young team that you really have to get their IQ up. Is a lot more teaching than coaching at times. And so when you have the foundation and the IQ and the things I mentioned, I think you can get to the basketball schematics and coaching, but there was a lot of, firsts for guys, like I said, that we required of them, but also that some of them had seen in the first place, and so it was good. I think, the mix of young guys and veterans and the group in general was a pleasure to work with, and like from a competitive standpoint, we had that from day one. It was just a matter of getting up to speed with everything else, and so, as I mentioned, it's not good to be done in April, for the first time, never making the playoffs, and I think what we'd echoed to the guys, on the last day was just let this be the last time that we're, not playing and not be the norm for you guys. At this time of the season, you should be preparing for what's to come, what really matters, and let's achieve that next year.
I hope no, for the last one, not that I'm aware of, and yeah, they're both easily on track.
And you've always talked about wanting to win a championship. That's the goal. The group that you ended the season with, do you feel like that group is good enough to get you there if the young guys develop the way that you hope they will?
I mean, are we including Alperin and Tari?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the whole roster.
Okay, so
The 1 through 12.
yeah, no, I don't think talent's our problem. I think we have a lot of talent. So, and that's really exciting. That doesn't mean that this current group is one we're going to take for the next 50 years. That would be wonderful, and I would love it if that happened. That tends to not be the case the way the NBA works. But we certainly feel very good about our base of talented players, and all of them at various times have shown glimpses, or more than glimpses, of being guys who can play in big moments and big games and be very successful, and we're excited for it.
Kelly.
Given the monumental jump in wins from last season to this season, how do you judge growth going forward if it's not going to be that 20 jump? Is there other ways?
We're definitely winning 20 more. I think when we sat here last year, you guys asked me, maybe even you, Kelly, asked me about, can I put a number on the number of games we had to win to see, and I said no. I would say the same thing again. Like you take each year as it is, the only team that should feel really good at the end of any given year is the team that won the championship. So there's one team out of 30, and the rest of the time you have to at the end of each year make a decision about where you fell short if you're not that team, and what the appropriate steps are to give yourself the best chance of being that team. I think it's that simple, but if you try and put a number on it or something else, I think you're making a mistake.
Chris.
Coach, a year ago this time, there were multiple openings. You were very highly thought of around the league. Reflecting back on it a year ago, making that decision to come here, how justified in your mind that this was the right decision and we're on a path here for something special?
Well, going to Phoenix, Milwaukee, or Philly, we'd be in the playoffs now.
You wouldn't have me.
But no, it was, other than this in Detroit, and I think Toronto immediately opening up right after, these were the ones that were, in front of me at the time, and some I had no interest in, and this was obviously one. People reached out, possibly on the other ones, and everything that we talked about, and when I met with Tillman and Patrick, it aligned with what I wanted to do. I think, looking at big picture, being able to build something was more appealing than, jumping into something that has a 2-year window, or so to speak. And so, I knew about the guys. I didn't, when I dug into the interview process, but learning more about them, it became more appealing for sure. And, pleasant surprises, things I learned along the way, Houston being a destination to this extent for a lot of guys. And then, we knew we had to come in and change the culture. And so, as far as that, I think it's gone to plan. I think we got a ton of young potential, had cap space to go after some free agents, and then, had a chance to just kind of build with the guys we already had. So, I think it was a no-brainer for me, and very happy with the choice. Tied to this guy for a little longer now, and so not a bad thing as well. But couldn't be more happy, honestly. And grass is not always greener. Looking at the big picture and of some of the other things, and a little instant gratification to keep a playoff streak going, and when you're out of the mix in a few years, like I said, this is a chance to do something long-term and do something special.
Jason.
Forgive.
Opportunity with Dalvin being out, but they're not duplicates as players, and they have contrasting styles and what they bring to the table, and so early on we really leaned on Fred, to get us in the sense and to kind of initiate everything and want to get our turnovers down and all the things we tried to achieve this year. And Alfie being one of the top low post scorers, Jalen wasn't going to have the same opportunity he's had in the past, and so sometimes it comes down to making shots, and he was taking the right shots and learning and growing as the season went. And so with the ball in his hands, he goes on a hot streak from a scoring standpoint, and you can obviously ride that a little bit longer. And so to Rafael's point, he was really playing good before Alfie went down anyway. And so looking forward to that combination kind of meshing next year with more experience and understanding of what we're looking for from both of them. And it's funny, like they said that about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, can they mesh together? And so a lot of times it's the guys that every team would want. Everybody would want Jalen and Alfie on their team, and I think it's a no-brainer that can work, and we'll see that going forward.
Your son as well.
Yeah, I don't really look at it as having to prove something from a basketball standpoint. Mistakes were made in the past, and was entrusted to come back and lead this team. And so for me, it was getting back to what I love to do, and for the team, it was helping them get on the right path. And so a little bit of both. You're happy for the achievements that the guys have stepped up and achieved this year, but we still have work to do. And for me, it's not like I'm holding a grudge of keeping count of who said what. It's on to the next and kind of put mistakes behind you and move forward. And so, yeah, that's my mindset on it. And obviously the guys, we wanted to achieve more this year, no doubt. But a lot of them had a lot of success for the first time and played meaningful games. And so you'd like to see them rewarded for what they've been through and what they've accomplished this year. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Michael.